Turn your living room into a joyful, hands-free playroom with CoComelon Sing and Play with JJ. Your child sings, moves, and learns right alongside JJ and friends, all on the big screen. It's designed thoughtfully to spark speech, rhythm, and coordination through songs and active play. Try an ad-free, safe, and interactive way to make screen time part of their learning and growth. Parents love how easy it is, voice-controlled and frustration-free. Kids love every moment of singing, laughing, and playing along. It's fun for them, and it's feel-good for you. Available now in the Volley app on your smart TV. Just search Volley in your TV's app store and start your free trial of CoComelon Sing and Play with JJ today. That's CoComelon Sing and Play with JJ. Available now in the Volley app on your smart TV. Search Volley and start your free trial today.
Volley. Welcome to Homeschooling Outside the Box, the podcast that encourages and equips moms to homeschool an outside-the-box child. Hey there, I'm Cindy Renna, and today we are going to continue our Getting Started series. So last week we talked about how to get started when you're beginning homeschooling. So we talked about the need to pray about it and being on the same page with your spouse, checking in with state laws, and the importance of joining a homeschool support system. And then I gave you some homework to help you develop a simple homeschooling mission statement. So if you have not listened to that episode or put your mission statement together, you might want to pause here and head back to that episode and then come finish this one after you're done. Because today we're going to continue on and talk about choosing your homeschool method. We're also going to talk about picking the space that you work in and creating your routine. When it comes to picking your homeschool method, you can research different homeschool methods and just choose to focus on the one that makes the most sense for your family. So take a little time to jot down your children's strengths and challenges as well as your own. Do not forget to factor yourself into this equation. So you can't pick something that's great for your child, but that you hate because it's not going to work. You are a part of the homeschool. So make sure you keep in mind what your strengths and challenges are. Remember, it's okay to make small changes to accommodate what works best for your family. But don't choose a method that does not blend with the values and personalities you already have. All right, so one example of that might be if you are always late and you really like to go with the flow and you want to be open to opportunities as they pop up to go on nature walks or field trips or things like that, you're probably not going to want to do a traditional homeschool, which is like really a lot like school like home. So that's where you're on a schedule and you start at X time and you have this many things to get through in 36 weeks and it's really rigid in terms of planning. So if that is not your default, that's probably not going to be a good fit for you. Okay, let's talk about the 9 different types of homeschooling methods. I am sure that other methods have emerged that I don't know about, but these are kind of your basics. All right, so the first one, like I said, is traditional. It's pretty much school at home. So think textbooks, schedules, tests. There's ways that you can even go to school at home online. There's, I forget what it's called, K-12.com maybe, but it's your public school system in your home. So that is one type of homeschooling, but there's lots of others. So the second is called classical, and that is kind of a revival of medieval teaching, and it's based on the 3 developmental stages of the trivium: grammar, dialectic, and rhetoric. I am not going to go in depth into any of these, so I'm just giving you like a 1-sentence overview, so you'll have to do a little search on whichever one or two ring true to you. The third one is unschooling. So this is also called child-led learning or delight-directed. So you respond to your child's interests by basing the curriculum around what he's passionate about. Unit studies is another way, and that's when all subjects are taught through a topical or theme study. So it's similar to unschooling, but it's a little more structured because you're preparing things, putting them together. All right, the fifth type is Charlotte Mason. It is literature-based, rich, and vast education on all subjects. So this is living books, narration, nature study. You're studying a lot of the arts. You're reading a ton. Another style is DVD, video, or internet schooling. That's where everything you do is online. Another approach is Waldorf. That's where you focus on educating the whole child and emphasis on the arts, especially in the early years. Number 8 is Montessori. It's where you focus on life skills and children learning at their own pace. And the 9th is eclectic, which is a combination of all of them. Because what you're probably going to find as you go through these is you like this from this one, and you like this from this one, and you don't like this about this one. And so it's more of you taking things from each method and throwing it into a salad for what fits your family. So you do want to find at least one that you resonate most with, and that will give you a jumping off point. Our homeschool aligns mostly with the Charlotte Mason method. I have done entire episodes on the podcast on why we chose Charlotte Mason, why I think it's the best for outside the box kids. Of course, when I say outside the box kids, I'm referring to autism, ADHD, dyslexia, any learning disorders, any types of delays. If your child just does not typically or does not learn in the same way a typical child does, that's what I'm referring to. But we have found that the Charlotte Mason method works beautifully, even for a child who has dyslexia, even though it's a literature-rich, heavy reading. We do a lot of audiobooks. I read aloud a ton, so we haven't seen that to be a hindrance for him. That being said, I've dabbled in most of the other methods at one time, and it took us a few years to find Charlotte Mason. So we did really a little bit of everything for the first 3 years. So I would say that some subjects are even better executed with different styles. So for instance, it's pretty standard to learn math from a textbook. You can find math curriculums that are, and they might even say it on their website, Charlotte Mason friendly, or you might find, multi-sensory, or they might include some keywords that even though the curriculum comes in the form of a textbook, the way it's taught is more aligned with another approach. But you also want to think about what the internet has given us, which is the opportunity to do things from a distance. So we've done piano lessons online, and we've done art lessons online, and those have been wonderful because there's some things it's better to see in live video. So just because you do piano lessons online, that doesn't make you an internet homeschooler. You can still do Charlotte Mason, and then you do your piano lessons online or whatever it is. So don't get too caught up in being married to a method. So you want to find a method because it's helpful. And then you want to learn where that method came from and adopt some of your own philosophies. And that will help you whittle down your curriculum choices. But you always want to be more committed to your child than a particular method. So if I'm at a fork in the road and Charlotte Mason says that I should be teaching this subject this way, but I've got my son who has autism and he learns better this way, or he's not at that level yet, I'm going to choose my son. And that's the benefit of homeschooling, is you can do that. So I can still be a Charlotte Mason homeschooler, but use my brain and common sense to adapt things for my family. But most of the principles, philosophies we believe in, curriculum I'm choosing is all going to resonate with Charlotte Mason. So it's the presentation that's going to change. And again, like I said, I did a whole episode on this, so I will link to that in the show notes if you want to get more information specifically on Charlotte Mason's method or on how to choose a method. All right, the next topic is to pick your space. So where are you going to teach? Are you going to pick the office space or one room of your house and dedicate that as the classroom? Are you going to use multiple rooms? Are you going to school in your dining room, in a spare room, or the living room couch, or the back porch, or at a desk? Do you need a table? Or are you going to move between all of these spaces at some point? So evaluate what you need once you decide on the room. And I will make a suggestion here. We actually have 2 main spaces we school in. We've got a room with a door that closes, and that is the school room. We also do in-home therapy, and so that is the therapy room. So it's sort of an all-in-one. This is the room where we go to do one-on-one work. So if I'm teaching math, or they need to do handwriting, or they need to do a reading lesson, and it's got to be something quiet where they can shut the door and be focused. It's more of a focus room. That's probably a good thing to call it. So that is our school room. But then we've got the front room of our house where I've got a huge bookshelf, and it's almost like an elaborate playroom. My kids are kind of old for a playroom, but it's got shelves with books and games and toys and activities. It's joined to the Lego room. We actually have a Lego room. We converted our dining room into a Lego room because we have that many Legos. So it's all connected. So that works really well for us. We do group work in there. So I have a chalkboard out there. That's where we do our history and Bible, and we do maps, and we can really kind of spread out. People can sit on chairs or cushions if they want while I'm reading aloud. They can be building with Legos as long as it's not disruptive. And we can be crafty in there if there's something to paint or color or anything like that. So that room gets used all the time for recreation, but there's also a chunk in our day where we go in that room and learn together. So we've got that. We also, at the dining room table, when we eat lunch, we read aloud at the table there. And at bedtime, we read in the bedroom. So on one hand, you could say we have many places that we do homeschool, but then we've got the 2 main ones. We've also, on nice days, we are outside. So we'll go on the back porch and do like a little tea time and read aloud and have a snack on the back porch. So it doesn't have to be set in stone. It can be flexible, but you want a space mostly where you keep your stuff and where the kids know, okay, when we're at this table, when we're in this room, this is what's happening. So it really helps with expectations too. All right, so once you find your room, you need to evaluate what you're going to need. So most homeschoolers have a lot of books, and that's a good addiction. I support it fully. So you're going to need a bookshelf or 2 or 5 to put all those books on. So you're going to need furniture. You're going to need a table to sit at so they can do handwriting or math, okay? You might want, if you have hardwood floors, you might want some cushioned mats to lay on the floor if they would rather do their math laying on their belly. You're going to need chairs to sit in. What kind of chairs do you want? Do you want wobble chairs where they can move around? Do you want large exercise balls? Do you want chairs that help you sit straight up? What type of seating do you want? Do you want bench seating for when you do your group work? So these are all things that you want to think about, but get away from the idea that you have to have them at a chair in front of a desk. There's many different options. You also want to look around your house and see what can you repurpose. So before you start making your wish list, you might have stuff at your house that works already for you to be doing school. Charlotte Mason says education is a life, and I've definitely found that. And if you are homeschooling, it's really just an extension of life. So you probably have many of the things that you already need. Remember that your setup needs to fit the tone of your method. For instance, if you chose Charlotte Mason, you're going to be spending a lot of time outdoors exploring as well as snuggled up reading great books together. Okay, so you probably want a comfy couch or chair or something accessible. If you chose internet schooling, each child might need their own laptop. So, and you've got to have a good Wi-Fi connection, and you need a workspace to put all that stuff. Here's a little exercise you could do while you're trying to figure this out. When you envision your best day of homeschool, what are you and your children doing? What setting do you see? Okay, now weigh that against your reality. Is this practical? Is it possible? Does it fit the personalities of you and your children? Does it fit the reality of your home and your budget? If you don't have a spare room to renovate into a schoolroom, don't feel restricted by your circumstances. Just get creative and design a space that works for you and your family. But remember, it has to work for your family, not the family you see on a homeschool curriculum catalog cover. Okay, if I envisioned all of us sitting around in the living room by the fire, reading aloud, and everybody, peacefully doing some handiwork, that's not my family. Okay, we might be in one room together, but some of the children would be very busy and moving a lot, or somebody standing on their head, or just try to work within what already exists. Start there. You can always work on habits or build on things, but you don't want to start at a point of frustration. Start where you're at and build from there. The next thing we're going to do is create your routine. In the same vein, I want you to start with what's already working. If you're seeing a theme here, you should be. Like I said, homeschool is just an extension of life. So all you're really doing is adding a few things to what's already happening. You're not going to get different kids when you start this. You're not going to get a different house or a different lifestyle. It's going to be using what you've already got. So focus on attaching homeschool to existing pillars, or putting it in between those pillars of your day. So can you do devotionals at breakfast? Can you read aloud at lunchtime? Remember, this is an average day, so don't worry about specifics yet. We'll get into that when we plan the year and the term and the week and the day. But right now I want you to look at your day in 7 chunks and simply put a check mark where you think your homeschool might fit. So for most people, there's around 7 parts of the day. That's first thing in the morning, then there's breakfast, there's midday, usually around 10 o'clock, and then there's lunch, and you've got the afternoon, so a little bit after lunch, and then you've got dinner and bedtime. So those are all areas of the day that you're surely already doing right now. So it would be easy to just work within those and add something to them. So just like last time, you're going to have a little homework, and this is your homework to kind of go through those 7 areas, start paying attention to your family and who's doing what at those times. For us, that always really worked to read aloud while we were eating. The kids were already sitting most of the time. They had their mouths full, so the frequency of interrupting and talking was slightly less. That worked for us. But I also know if you've got a toddler who is running around or who you have to feed during that time, or a nursing baby, you might not want to also add a book to that scenario. So what works for some won't work for others. You might have a baby who naps, and that is a really great time for you to do one-on-one work with your older kids. Okay? Or you might have a job at night, or you might have a babysitter who comes regularly, or therapy at certain times of day. So just try to think loosely here. But I want you, before you listen to the next episode, to go through these 7 times and just consider, what would it be like if I added something here? And then make sure you check back and listen to the 3rd episode of this series, Getting Started. Thanks so much for listening to Homeschooling Outside the Box. If you are loving the show, please head over to iTunes and leave a review. This is a great way to help other moms just like you find encouragement in their homeschool with their outside-the-box child as well. For more encouragement, be sure to head to cindyrenna.com, and you can check out some great blog posts as well as a shop that will help equip you on your homeschooling journey.